Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/Entitled People, where you'll hear stories about people who think the world revolves around them and that nobody else matters. Guys, I hope you're having another lovely day today, and in today's episode, you'll hear some more outrageous stories. My friends, I do hope you enjoy the stories today, and remember, don't shake your head too much because it might fall off your body. Oh, and do hit that subscribe button if you're new here. So last night, I worked a table of 14. They were all terrible people. They were the snobbiest and most entitled people I've ever come in contact with. One guy sits down and orders a beer. He says, "Every time you come to the table, I want you to have a beer for me. Understood?" Now, I thought he was probably just joking because he was half smiling when he said it. So I leave for a while and come back, and he says, "Where's my beer? Did you really forget what I told you 2 minutes ago? Is this how we're gonna start the night? If so, I will tell everybody at this table to not tip you." So I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, it won't happen again." So for the next 2 hours, no matter what, every single time I approached the table, I left a beer. About 45 minutes, the beer began to pile up. A friend of the entitled idiot tried to take one that I put down, but I grabbed it and said, "Oh, sorry sir, this is your friend's beer. I'd be happy to get one for you if you'd like." So long story short, he ended up buying 25 beers at $8 a pop with a 20% mandatory tip on the table. He maybe drank 4. I've never felt so good in my life. It doesn't pay to be an arrogant ass, people. $200, that's the price you pay for being an entitled idiot, sir. You know, I've read so many of these entitled people stories, and it still baffles me the way that some people treat others and the way they talk to them. I mean, it's ridiculous. Also, I want to know how OP got away with putting 25 beers on the table when the guy only drank 4. At what point would the manager be like, "Hey, maybe you should stop bringing him beers. He's not drinking any of them." So last night was probably the busiest night we've had in a while. I'm a waitress at an upscale steakhouse restaurant. The hostess up front puts us at an hour-long wait for walk-ins because of so many booked reservations. Well, this particular couple had me fuming beyond belief during our peak hour of the night. So, the front lobby is packed with guests waiting for a table, while reservations are seated as soon as possible. The hostess has a system on an iPad to let managers know which guest is seated where, and how long they've stayed, etc. Now, I'm bussing a table at my section when I overhear one of the hostesses try to speak to a pair at the section a booth over. This couple walked into the restaurant, saw the amount of people waiting for a table, and decided to seat themselves with no reservation. They also sat at a dirty table. And here I'm thinking, are these people for real? This is what I got between the hostess and the older man sitting down with his wife. She said, "Excuse me, sir, you didn't come up to the host stand in order for us to find out what reservation you had." The man says, "We don't have reservations. Someone needs to clean this mess up. We're not sitting here with a table like this," pointing to the messy table. The hostess then says, "I'm sorry, sir, but if you don't have a reservation, the wait's going to be an hour long. Someone has already requested this booth by the fireplace, and they need to be seated." The man then says, "We don't care about reservations. We're hungry, and we are gonna eat. Get someone to clean our damn table. I'm not asking a third time." Now, after that failure, the hostess looked pretty shaken up. She's never dealt with any guest that rude and upfront before, so it was understandable. With my Latina blood boiling, I went over to the couple who thought they were high and mighty and said, "This is my section, and after hearing that conversation, you both have no right to be served. There's a family waiting for this table, and I'm going to ask you to leave, unless you want me to get a manager to escort you out." The couple squawked at me demanding I get them drinks, while I went straight to my GM who saw what happened with the hostess. They were escorted out and told they were not welcome back. My friends, it sounds to me like the man was letting hunger get the best of him. I know a few people who get super irritated when they're hungry, and you mix that with self-entitlement and this is what you get. I love how the couple just sits down at a table that wasn't for them, asked why it's still dirty and not cleared, and demanded OP clear the table. Like, what are you doing, sir? Go home. You're drunk. You're drunk off entitlement. So this happened when I was a hostess in my early 20s. A family of 4 came in, and when I sat them, the mom, who I'll call Karen, wanted to move to an area where no tables were open. I told her she could wait back up front, and we would seat her when one of the tables opened. She insisted on standing right by the bus station, so she had a view of the people sitting in her desired area. Now, the four of them were in the way of guests and servers, but Karen did not notice. She was too busy staring daggers at the people eating. I went to the manager who tried to move her, but to no avail. Finally, we just let them stay because we noticed a couple in a booth packing up their food. I checked in a few minutes later to see if the table had left yet, and was dismayed to see that they had picked up dessert and coffee. Karen was still standing there watching them. The kids were bored and running up and down the wheelchair ramp. I asked Karen again to move back down to the waiting area as she was blocking the servers, and her kids were an accident waiting to happen. She loudly asked when her table would be ready and pointed right at the couple sipping their coffee. Knowing we were talking about them, the couple looked at us and smiled. It hit me that they were not leaving on purpose. Great. Now Karen realized it as well because she got very angry. She yelled that they were holding her booth hostage and that we should kick them out. I told her we would not ask anybody to leave until they were ready. Then I watched in horror as the woman approached the couple. Karen walks up to them and says, "You are done here. This is my table now. Pay the bill and go." The couple smiling sweetly said, "But we just got our coffee and dessert." Karen responds, "Then take it to go. We are hungry and you're sitting in our booth. This is our booth. It's not yours until we leave." Karen raged insults at them until the manager came out rushing to help. He tried to intervene but could not be heard over her screaming about her starving children. The couple kept their cool the whole time, nibbling their dessert and stirring their coffee. Finally, the manager had enough and told the woman to get the F out. She was utterly floored that we were asking her to go and not the couple. She then picks up an empty dessert plate from their table and chucked it across the room, where it hit a wall and smashed into pieces. The manager screams for waitstaff to call 911. I remember trying to hide my smile from the people around me, and I'm thinking, what adult acts like this? The woman was in her 40s. There were also a lot of open booths too, just not in that area. Karen's husband appeared, grabbed her by the sleeve, and started to pull. She let him lead her towards the front door as she continued to yell insults at us. She called the manager a loser and mocked his career choice. She then told me that I was a plain, nothing-going-nowhere girl and worthless. And when they left, I went to the back for a while for a breather. I needed to get away from people. When I returned, the server of the couple ran up to me. She says, "The couple left, but they wanted to talk to you. They felt so bad about how that woman acted. They saw her watching them, and she was being rude to everybody, so they decided to take their time to mess with her to teach her a lesson. They had no idea she'd do that. They waited a few minutes to talk to you, but they thought you went home and asked me to give you this as an apology." He then handed me a $100 bill. It was a bad night, but it kind of made me feel better. It's not every day that a customer acknowledges when they've made your life miserable. Thankfully, Karen was never seen again. Guys, I would have done exactly what that couple did. If I knew that a Karen wanted the table I was sitting at and was yelling and screaming for them to kick me out, and on top of that giving waitstaff a hard time, I would have pulled out a book, ordered a few more desserts, and pulled a sleeping bag out of my pocket. Cause I'm not leaving, Karen. I'm not leaving. For starters, I have 3 jobs. I'm a manager at a fast food restaurant, a volunteer staff member at my church, and one of those makeup companies rep, where you make your own hours. I've done this for a bit now and love my busy little life. I've never considered something like this happening, but here we go. So I was at the church doing some things in the kitchen. Because of COVID, we can no longer serve coffee, but before service, I always make a pot for those who come early to help set up, so mostly for staff and worship team. While I was in there, a lady who I don't know too well, who doesn't come too often, came in to talk to me. Now, I don't mind the company, and we just started to talk, even though technically she wasn't supposed to be in the kitchen. After the exchange of a few pleasantries, this is when it started. She says, "So, I heard you're manager at X Burger, right?" I said, "Yep, they are super great there, working around my church schedule and giving me special days off for events." The lady then says, "All right, so I need you to make sure they make me a burger right after service. I want no pickles and extra mayo. Make it a large combo with a Coke. Let them know that I'll be right by after church, so you have to have it ready for me, okay?" I told her, "I'm sorry, but I'm not working right now. You can call the store and place your order, or do it through the app, but I'm working here right now." The lady, shocked, said, "But you're a manager. nobody I'll call at the restaurant will be better than talking to you. I need my order placed, and while we're at it, can you tell them to have it ready so I can skip the line and just come in to pay? I don't want to have to wait in line forever. I told her again, I'm not on the clock, I'm not in uniform, and I have work to do here. She says, yeah, but you don't work here. You work at X Burger. I told her, yeah, and I work here and there. When I'm here, I'm pastoral staff. When I'm at X Burger, I'm X Burger manager. I work here tonight. I can show you how to use the app or give you the store number, but I can't place the order for you. The lady then says, no, I don't want to have to bother with all that nonsense. I'll just have to go to X Taco instead. I just don't understand why, as an X Burger employee, that you can't just make my food for me after church. You work there. It's your job you get paid to do. So after that, she just left the kitchen, which I didn't have much time to think on because I had work to do. She refused to look at me until after service when she pulled the head pastor aside and was saying something, shooting daggers at me. So just before she left, she came up to me, gave me the most fake smile I've ever seen, and said she was sorry for bugging me when I had so much important work to be doing, and that I should have told her I had work to do, which I did. Pastor never told me what was said, but made a big point to tell me that I was doing a great job that night. My friends, before we dive into the last story, I know a lot of you have mentioned in the comments how these stories often leave you feeling angry, so today, hopefully, you'll end with a smile, because I love this story. This happened years ago, but it still feels like it was yesterday. I was a 29-year-old female serving at a Steak and Shake, and was about 70 pounds bigger than I am now. Now, I'm very white with blonde hair, so you wouldn't know by looking at me that I'm almost fluent in Spanish. As I was cleaning a table one night, there was a family sitting pretty close to me. While wiping the dirty table, I heard the new table talking loudly about me in Spanish. They were saying how big my butt was, commented on my roundness, and how they did not want to be served by someone so disgusting. Now, not knowing that I 100% understood them, my initial reaction was anger and tears. I wanted to give them bad service and not even try to be nice. But I wanted to be the bigger person tonight. No pun intended. I walked up to them and did my welcome to Steak and Shake, my name's Brandy and I'm here to help you out. But I said it all in Spanish. The look of shock and embarrassment on their faces gave me one of the greatest feelings ever. Then I listed every burger, every milkshake flavor, every side item in Spanish. For the entire meal, I spoke no English at all. I gave them the kindest, most attentive service I've ever given anybody. The nicer I was, the more humiliated and ashamed they were. When one of them asked quietly if they could have some more water, I already had a tray in my hand with his water on it. They refused to speak Spanish to me and would hardly even look at me. When they left, they closed their $25 check and left me a $50 bill under the plate for my tip. It was such a glorious day. Everybody always asked me why I didn't spit in their food, give them bad service, or ring up their order wrong. My motto is, kill people with kindness, baby. That's the way I do it. Kindness is the way to go, my friends. I love how the more OP talked to them in Spanish, the more they realized how dumb they were. Way to teach them a lesson, OP. Taking the high road definitely paid off. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our slash entitled people. Guys, we survived another one. I know the stories in this episode aren't as crazy as they usually are, but I hope you enjoyed them nonetheless. If you missed the last episode of r slash entitled people, people pretend to know the owner when they don't, and the stories are hilarious. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.